Fire them up. That's what we do here at the Andrew Gosser Show. We fire them up on 1039 WYAB. We're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're even streaming on Facebook. And we're always streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal, that is 103.9 on your FM dial. Like, share, and subscribe to stream. Help us build the radio station. Help us build the channels up. We'd appreciate that greatly. Social media is definitely a different part of the system here, but it's always about the radio. That's what always comes first. Look, if you want to be part of the show today, number is 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. I keep on hitting this one over and over again, but it's true. I can remember growing up and my mother and my grandmother, my nana, my auntie, all saying, "You will reap what you sow." It's true, but we never hear the whole scripture, and I just like putting it out there because it's true. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. And I mean, the only place to really start it is the shooting of the officer in Simpson County. We're praying for him. And I know that Clay hit it pretty hard. Clay, by the way, had the best coverage of that incident, that tragic incident, that horrific incident, sitting there on Facebook Live with over 200,000 views. Ladies and gentlemen, that's more views than the demographic for Fox News on any given night. Little old Clay Edwards. Everybody wants to sit there and trash him. But here's the thing about Clay. Clay is not worried about the haters because it's the silent majority. It's the MAGA majority. Let's be truthful. Most of us who vote for Trump vote for him again. But they don't want to come out of the shadows. They just want to do their vote. They do their civic duty and they lay low. And obviously, after last night, Clay Edwards definitely was doing the heavy lifting. I'd be interested to see what some of the major mainstream media and local news outlets are doing. I'm just going to go over here before I get in because I got stuff to talk about. And I always look at things from a different perspective, you know? And that's why you listen to the Andrew Gosser shows, because I don't always say the same things that everybody else is saying. And I'm just looking for updates, and it just says 2 brothers are arrested after Covington County deputy shot. And if you listen to the last hour of the Clay Edwards show, Clay and I discussed it. And we support our officers, law enforcement officers, our correctional facility officers, our jailers. We know that 99% of y'all are great guys and gals going to do a job. But just like any business, whether it be the restaurant business, the grocery store business, the retail business, you always get a bad apple in there, and they screw it up for everybody else. It's like a packet of yeast. You only need a little bit of yeast in there to have everything start kicking off. If you know, you know. And if there's any developing information that's coming out over the shooting of the deputy, I'll be checking back in every so often. But what I want to talk about is what is distracting the entire nation. This is coming from townhall.com. Townhall.com. Again, trust but verify. By the way, follow me on X. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. I've been pretty critical on the Save America Act. I went and actually checked, you know, like how you get those alerts on Facebook and X about notifications, and I had over 200 or 99 notifications on Facebook. And the people who were tagging me about me talking about Senator Wicker and Senator Hyde was ridiculous. I couldn't believe the reach that show had. And I appreciate that. But there's a reason we need the Save America Act, and that's because, quite frankly, we just witnessed Georgia 2.0 in Los Angeles this time. And I just retweeted this on X, so if you wanna go back and recap what I'm gonna summarize and pontificate about here, you can. That's what makes this show so good. Oh, also in the show today, we are gonna have an in-depth breakdown on Jody Owens and his George Soros connections and other Mississippi politicians who have George Soros connections. And we can go and bring this as wide and as deep as we need to go, so to speak. Useful idiot Kristen Welker's pathetic defense of California election fraud is debunked. Well, absolutely. Everybody knows that the mail-in voting scam is horrible and it steals elections. We know it. We've followed it. We've seen it happen before. It almost looks exactly like 2020 with the late night data dumps for Joe Biden in the 2020 election. Same thing here. The real scandal coming out of California right now is quite possibly that every single thing we are seeing transpire before our very eyes is now 100% legal. They're trying to make mail-in voting and cheating legal. That's one way to look at it. It's this whole moral contract that comes up over and over again. You hear different callers call into the show talking about how they don't see it the same way. That's a real disconnect there. You know, for us Gen Xers, I can remember my mom dragging me to the Fox River Grove Fire Department on election day to make sure that I saw her voting. We don't do that anymore. We make it over easy to vote. We give concessions and we use technologies that are completely not outdated, but ripe for fraud. You can steal something and not break the law. That's what's happening in California, and it's true. Just go look at the Walgreens and the CVSs where they have to put everything behind locked glass cabinets because the moral contract isn't the same. Go look at these Walgreens in Chicago that are moving out of Chicago because they can't keep product on the shelves without having it stolen. Look at my beloved Chicago Bears. Bear down, the Bears. They're leaving Indiana because Chicago's so corrupt. The Democrat moral culture that is being pressed upon the citizenry is not conducive to the Constitution of the United States of America. You have open socialists, which used to be illegal in America. It used to be illegal to be a communist or a socialist in America and run for office. You could have those views, but you couldn't run for office, and that was a good thing. As a former California resident, O'Connor breaks down the entire process that is going on in California, and you all know what it is. Never mind that every other first world nation in the world has outlawed mail-in voting. We've got to keep it. Why? Democrats. Every other first world country in the world has outlawed mail-in voting, but America, we have it. Why? Republicans. Wait, Andy, you just said Democrats. Now you're saying Republicans? What's up with that? Well, when you don't pass the Save America Act, when you're the leader of the Senate and you wuss out to the parliamentarian, we'll get to leader Thune. This is the election system in California as we speak. Anybody who is a registered voter gets a ballot, and you registered to vote because you walked into a DMV and you automatically get registered no matter what. We need to get rid of that. It is your civic duty to vote, but you have to go through steps to get that privilege and that right and that duty. I don't even think it's a right. I think it's a privilege and a duty. It's a privilege in that you shouldn't be a felon and be voting. Again, no consequence culture. Who's pushing that? The Democrats. Who's pushing that? The Republicans. Well, everybody's not worried about the consequences. They're worried about the feels. Never mind the countless victims, it's about the perpetrator who made a mistake. He made a mistake. That woman who registered her dog to vote in California, Orange County, California, it was a mistake. No, it was a felony. It was a crime. Lock your butt up. Get in jail. Do some hard time. Think about the consequences of your actions. It's like, what are we doing here in America? They're getting commercial driver's licenses in California right now, and then you go through the process and you register to vote. There's no check for citizenship. There's no check for ID. Do you know you can use your Planet Fitness card to get a voter to prove your citizenship in California? Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym. You don't need a government issued ID to become a citizen. You just need a Gold's Gym membership. Get the platinum package. When I used to go to the gym, that's what we did. It was so much easier to go to the gym, Gold's Gym, living off base than it was to actually use the on base gym. The commander didn't care for it too much, but when explained, he was all right with it. And I never got below a 96 on my PT test as a young lieutenant, so it was all good. There are videos out there, and you need to be careful with this. You need to be careful with this because you're going to see a lot of disinformation being put out by the political left. There's this lady talking about her father who goes to the voting poll and says, "Hey, did my wife vote?" And the lady says, "Yep, she was here this morning." And the guy goes, "Hey, that's something. She's been dead for 15 years." I cannot validate that, so I'm not going to play that video. But those are the kinds of things that you got to be watching out for. They're the kinds of things you've got to be watching out for. Because if you're not, you're going to get sucked into one of these rope-a-dopes, and the whole argument that the left will use on you is your one mistake there. They won't look at all the mistakes that the left is making. Oh, no, no, no. It's all about the one mistake you made. And that's the game we play as conservatives. It's difficult to put yourself out there. It's difficult. It's not difficult to put yourself out there. You just got to have thick skin. And you'll always get the whiners and complainers, the people who are looking for the social media clout, the influencers. You always be looking out for the massive social media payday check, which Clay and I discussed this morning, and it's not as big as you think. It really isn't. But those people are out there. And I can remember when social media was truly the Wild West because you could actually go do stuff, but people didn't act the fool. And you know, when you think about the word fool and you actually go do word research on the word fool, it's not a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a good thing to be the fool. But yet, in our culture, it seems like acting the fool is okay. Which is why I come back to the Save America Act and why we need it so bad. The election in California has been stolen. You don't have 24,000 votes come in and not one for the Republican. It every chat that I've asked, the statistical probability is 1 in over 1 trillion. Less than 1 in 1 trillion, excuse me. Less than 1 in 1 trillion. It's impossible. And we're all too hooked up on our drugs. We're all too hooked up on our alcohol. We're all too hooked up in our social media feeds to really give a crap about the election in California. We find other things to occupy our time. We're foolish. And for those of us who really do care about this stuff, we look like we're the crazy ones with the tinfoiled hats on. They mock us. They ridicule us. They scorn us. And we're sitting here the whole time saying, "See, I told you so. See, I told you so." But at some point, the "see, I told you so" is not good enough anymore. When we get back, we're going to check the social media feeds of all Mississippi national elected officials and see what they say about the Save America Act. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. 601-879-0002 is the number. Look, I always try to start off the show with a couple odds and ends. And one of the things that people have been liking is the price of oil. It's now at $89 a U.S. barrel. That's for West Texas crude. Brent crude's at $92. And the U.S. government's got about 29 days to figure out how to make us all more reliant on AI and less reliant on ourselves and in the real world. Yep. It's what it's at. Look, I don't like stringing stuff out and keeping stuff along, so let's go ahead and look at this right here. I want to make sure that I got all of my congressmen ready to go. So I'm just going in the order that this came up in my feed. As you know, I keep a feed for my political commentary, my elected congressmen inside of Mississippi and all of those outside of Mississippi. If they're outside of Mississippi, they're just all in a big conglomerate there. So this is Congressman Michael Guest, and we're just going to scroll back and see what he's talked about. His pinned post from 17 hours ago talks about FIFA World Cup 2026, natural disasters, public safety threats, prepared communities, etc. They held a hearing on that, and you know, I get that. We got to walk, chew bubble gum, pat our heads, and rub our tummies all at the same time. Dare I say hop, skip, and a jump. Customs and Border Patrol under President Trump is stopping the flow of illegal drugs. That's important. Did we ever finish the wall? And he's got a nice, very nice graphic slide there. Not too good. This is important. This one here is important. Please join Haley and me in prayer for the Covington County Sheriff's Department and the deputy who was shot and seriously injured. We can never thank the men and women of law enforcement enough. True, Michael Guest. True. I'll even heart emoji that. Talks about the job numbers. Let me just scroll down here. Quotes Russ Latino. That's a good guy to quote. Oh, got his Psalms in there. Let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love, for I have yet put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go for you, and I will trust my life. And it's got a picture of the new reflecting pool. That's a social media team work there. D-Day remembrance, true. America Most Wanted. Signers of the Declaration, John Morton. He got that idea from me. Message from Michael Guest. I don't see anything on the Save America Act. Completely done. Survey results. 82% of 3rd Congressional District survey respondents are satisfied or somewhat satisfied with House Republicans. Is that you in the listening audience? And then he qualifies it with House Republican support of law enforcement officers across our nation. And then he's got a little thing there. I can't find anything on the Save America Act. And I'm looking here, but I don't want to waste too much more time looking at it. Let's go to Mike Easel, Mississippi 4th Congressional District. He reposted something from April 27th, White House. Wow, Jimmy Kimmel. March 10th before that. Nope. Today is election day. Nothing about the Save America Act. And one thing I did want to add in this, and I forgot, it's not a mistake, it's just something I forgot. Michael Guest is Republican plus 14 district. Mike Easel is Republican plus 21 district. He could say something on the Save America Act and absolutely have no worries about not getting elected. So why isn't he? I don't know. February 18th stands in the golden age of America. Full endorsement from President Trump. Man, that aged like molded milk. Gas prices down. Well, we got to be truthful, right? Jobs reports are good. Violent crime is down. Look at Memphis. Look at D.C. Stock market is booming, but gas prices are that was before the war. And I know I'm in the minority here, but at least I tell you the truth, and you're like, Andy's going to tell you the truth. I don't mind paying higher gas prices right now if it means the end of slavery in Persia and Iran, if it means ending the child slave labor in Iran, if it means true women's rights in Iran. That's a price I'm willing to pay. Went back to February 1st, January 8th, absolutely nothing on the Save America Act. Mike Easel. Representative Trent Kelly, 1st District. And by the way, you should be following these people on X. It's not just enough for me to follow them. You need to do it too. We need everybody involved here. Proudly serving Mississippi's 1st Congressional District. It looks like his last post was on May 27th. From farmers to small businesses, our state's full of hardworking people doing great things. That's good writing right there. Read my latest newsletter. And good on Trent for having the newsletter. Your district looks gerrymandered as all hell, but it's all right. May 15th, Peace Officers Memorial Day. And notice I'm a veteran, right? And I think Memorial Day is pretty important. D-Day, Remembrance Day is pretty important. I don't get swept up in a politician. If Benny Thompson doesn't recognize Memorial Day, I don't get upset with it. That's for me to do. I'm more interested in debt reduction, Save America Act, and getting crap done in D.C. May 7th, please read my latest update. Stay connected. April 28th, severe weather threat. Don't go to WLBT or Ryan Hall. Go to Congressman Trent Kelly for the alert. But I appreciate it. It's different. Pictures with veterans in the office. Always do that. Congressman Mike Boast from Illinois. Don't want to follow him. Just sitting here looking. Happy that the assassination attempt on Trump was unsuccessful. Good job. Absolutely nothing. I don't see anything on the Save America Act. I don't see anything on the Save America Act. And with that, let me go right here to Benny Thompson real quick here. Here we go. Well, Benny Thompson, what's he talking about? Husband, father, grandfather, and avid hunter, proudly serving Mississippi's 2nd Congressional District in Congress. I'm the ranking member of the Homeland Defense Dems. I follow my Insta. He's on Insta, which is arguably the most perverted social media platform outside of OnlyFans and Pornhub. And we have the studies and statistics to show how they manipulate women. It's got a demeaning picture of Trump's ex-border chief, Greg Bovano, standing behind a podium. He's obviously vertically challenged. News alert, fighting for voter rights. There's not one person who's denied voter rights in Mississippi. I continue to say, if you are being denied justice, let me know. I'll show up with the whole crew, and we'll get to the bottom of it. But no one ever calls me up on it because they don't really want to solve the problems. They just like the infection that sets in. Here we go. Trump trying to control the narrative, walking out on Kristen Welker. You know what? I'm just going to do like a massive down scroll and then search for Save America Act and see if it pops up. Lots of picture of Ivanka in a very flattering picture. Lots of anger in his timeline. Find, save. Oh, did you hear that? Guess what? No Save America Act for Benny Thompson. When we get back from this commercial break, we're going to look at our 2 U.S. senators serving Mississippi. Have they talked about the Save America Act? You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. You're tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show, dropping knowledge. 1039 WYAB. You know, in the last segment, we talked about the Save America Act and how important it is. We already know that the mayoral election in Los Angeles, the populist won second place, but then had it stolen from him by a socialist. What's that say when the socialists outnumber the populists? That means that your state is a failed state and you're in trouble. You're in trouble. But it's important to go ahead and know what our representatives and senators are doing with respect to Save America Act. If you believe that it is the most important thing to actually follow in the Senate, you might not be that way. But when the president, who's the executive of the country, says, hey, this is what we need to get done, then I expect the Speaker of the House and the leader of the Senate to go ahead and make that happen. But no, we've got deep staters in there who are just doing everything they can to stifle President Trump. They're just trying to slow Trump down. That's the play now, not use the energy. Let's start off with the junior senator from Mississippi, Miss Cindy Hyde-Smith. I voted for her. I'm just being truthful. She's got 35,000 followers, 675 following. No, she doesn't follow me. So what posts about the Save America Act does Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith have? She wished a happy 100th birthday to Captain Jack of Natchez. Hey, that's all right. Met with representatives from the Mississippi's Children's Museum the other day. That's right. She's very active on X, and I truly appreciate that about her. Talking about Amtrak Mardi Gras service. We love trains here on the Andrew Gosser Show. And there was a texter who was asking me about my hat. My hat is a Chicago and Northwestern Historical Society hat. Got it this fall or this spring at a train show in Milwaukee or Madison, Wisconsin, excuse me. I'm all about that D-Day remembrance. So what I'm going to do is sit here and look at her law-abiding citizens who own firearms don't commit snatch and grab robberies. Criminals do. Yep, she's right. Meeting with people. I'm going to scroll down here to about April 1st and see how many Save America Act. She's got a lot of posts, everybody. Yep. It's almost out there with the tornadoes that happened the other day. That's good. Military Spouses Day. Got it. Small Business Week. You can tell that she's got her feed working. I don't know if it's because it's campaign season or what, but I tell you, at least she's doing this. Republicans are moving forward with a budget resolution that will allow to fund the critical functions of that the Democrats have refused to support: law enforcement, drug interdiction, border security, protecting children, et cetera, et al. Leader Thune, 7-minute and 35-second speech will pass. Going back to April 1st, find, save. Oh, did you hear that sound? Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe one more time. Nope, no Save America Act from Cindy Hyde-Smith. But she is a sponsor of it, ladies and gentlemen. She is a sponsor of it. All right, let's look at Roger Wicker here, our senior senator from Mississippi. Very powerful and influential figure. It doesn't say that this is a pinned post, and it says December 26, 2025. Lifelong Mississippi and current serving senator in the United States Senate. Updates are from the campaign unless signed RW. So this might be his campaign. June 2nd, vote tomorrow. President Donald Trump was clear throughout this campaign and now saying or during his presidency that if you are in the United States illegally, you will have to be sent home. Well, we like strong border security. We agree with that. Human trafficking post on May. So strong border security, May 12th, May 9th. Human trafficking post. Got it. May 8th, Delta State University. We support our HBCUs. Business investments. Real ID, not sure about that. I know that there's going to be a lot of people. Blessed Easter Sunday post. I do appreciate that, Mr. Wicker. I do. All right, we're going to go down another look. We're going all the way back into March 14th, President's Day. Let's just see if we can't go back. This is November 5th, 2024. Save. Oh, wait. Maybe I didn't get that right. No Save America Act. And Mississippi GOP. This is why you don't have your highly educated and informed voters all hot to trot to go to your fundraisers. When we see our state elected officials not doing jack squat with the issues that we think are most important. How tough would it be for Roger Wicker, Cindy Hyde-Smith to hold a joint conference saying, look, enough of this foolishness with the Senate parliamentarian, enough of this silliness with what's going on in the Save America Act. It needs to come to the floor now. And we duke it out. I'm not as hard on the congressmen. They did their job in the House. And good on Mike Johnson, the speaker, for sending it from a priority message. This parliamentarian garbage, it's just the latest trick in the book used by the deep state. And frankly, there's a lot of people who are really getting upset with Leader Thune. He needs to listen to the people. He's trying to corral these senators to doing stuff. It's not doing good for the senators back home. Now, does that mean that they're going to lose their elections? No. But we have the momentum. We have everything on our side, and you're killing it. This is like to use a sports analogy, this is like having the bases loaded with no outs, top of the ninth, with a 3-run lead, and you have a guy just sitting there taking strikes and striking out. The next guy comes out and strikes out. And you got home run hitters, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. Well, don't use those guys. Barry Bonds. No, the steroid era. That's about as far back. I don't know who the big home run hitters are. Trout, does he still play? But we're fumbling. That's a better analogy. We are fumbling the ball. And we can't. We have to be strong on this. Because in the next segment, we're going to talk about is Mr. Jody Owens, I think. I think that's where we'll go next. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Hey, we're in the break.
Oh, I know. That's why I called.
Yep.
Do you want to do any talking on the Israel getting raised up on the threat level?
I got Thomas Massey's speech in the queue for next hour.
Perfect.
In the USS Liberty. I'm going to play the whole thing, right. I think.
Yeah.
They are. And you heard me talk about it the other day. Israel is spies on the United States more than China does.
Oh, 100%.
So.
And there's laws on our books that we can't spy on them. I'm not saying we don't.
Yeah.
But there's laws on the books that say we can't. We can't. Yep. And that's the only country that we have those laws against.
Yep. And I don't get too fired up over it only because I'm taking the biblical worldview on this. And but I knew that was going to be a big story when Massey did that 5-minute speech. And I'm going to say this is why people like Massey. He lost.
Yeah.
But hey, and that was my ship, the USS America. I wasn't born yet, but that was my ship.
And the California contestant, the guy who came in second or was going to come in second, he had over 25,000 ballots cast, and not out of the millions, and not one was for him.
Yep. I talked about that in the first segment. I'm not sure if you heard it.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it. I didn't hear that part. That's just crazy.
It's 1 in a trillion. 1 in a trillion.
Yeah, yeah, and it's happening all over.
Yep.
So it's not coincidence.
That's why we need the Save America Act, brother.
I agree, man. Keep going.
Yep. Thank you, brother.
Yep.
My oh my, how the time flies when we're having fun here on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Andrew, you just spent a whole hour talking about stolen election in LA where it was under 1 in a trillion chance of getting 24,000 votes and not getting, or 24,000 votes coming in and not getting one vote. This is coming from the Magnolia Tribune. Democrats aligned super PAC to include Colum in $50 million media blitz. In case you don't know, Mr. Colum is running against Miss Cindy Hyde-Smith in the U.S. Senate. A Democrat-aligned super PAC announced Tuesday morning it was launching a $50 million ad campaign ahead of the November midterms, targeting House and Senate races in traditionally safe Republican areas, including Mississippi. This is coming from Frank Quarter, of course. He does great work. We appreciate Frank and his work that he does. The American Bridge 21st Century Super PAC touts itself as the largest research, tracking, and rapid response operation in the Democrat Party. Sometimes, I'll play those videos from Congressman Tim Burchett. They got the trackers sitting there. They're putting $50 million into this race. And honestly, that's where this is going to sound. I know the Republican strategists are like, no, Andy, shut up. But let them spend the money in Texas and Mississippi, where they're R plus 12, R plus 14. Make them spend the money here and make our candidates go out and say the good things. Do you believe in the Republican principles or not? Of note, the American 21st Century Super PAC is otherwise referred to as AB PAC and has benefited over the years from high-dollar left-leaning donors in political action committees, such as unions. Hey, I have a problem with union when they try to bend the rules to protect their folks, but I'm not necessarily anti-union as some people want to make me out to believe. Democracy PAC, a super PAC created by billionaire George Soros and the National Education Association, because American education is the pillar of education in the world. I mean, everybody's sending their kids here to go to our public schools, our grade schools, our junior highs, our high schools. Quite frankly, our universities suck too. They're nothing more than indoctrination centers for pro-Palestine and pro-Chinese communist ideology. In Mississippi, the super PAC is backing Democrat nominee Scott Colm for the state's U.S. Senate race. Colm, who is no stranger to receiving assistance from national Democrats and their financial backers like Soros, is running against incumbent Cindy Hyde-Smith and independent Ty Pinkins. That's who the spoiler's going to be. That's what they're going to try to do, actually, I think, is they're going to try to run Ty in there to peel off Republicans from Cindy Hyde-Smith. Cindy Hyde-Smith Facebook game is doing good, but need more there. Andy, Magnolia Tribune's not a good source. Well, it was founded, this super PAC was founded in 2010 by David Brock, a former conservative journalist turned liberal activist who founded Media Matters. Oh, God, this is, you got Media Matters supporting the Democrat in Mississippi. They raised lots of money. George Soros has backed billions, or not billions, but millions of dollars into this PAC. And it's serious stuff. It's time for Republicans to get together and just start supporting the president on this. Everybody talks about how the president was booed at the Knicks game, but what you didn't hear afterwards was the chants of USA, USA. And for those of us who've been to New York, they boo everybody. The only time they've never booed the president was during COVID and after 9/11, when George W. Bush went out there. So I don't get all up in the feelings like that, like the mainstream media wants you to do. Don't fall for those tricks. Not worth it. During the break, I did check and see if there was any updated news on the shooting in Covington County, but there isn't. But we'll continue to track that story. In the next hour, we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about Republican candidates who lost their primaries who still say good stuff. We're going to talk about Jody Owens because if you remember the other day, we had a caller who didn't believe that Jody Owens was a Soros plant. But, you know, you sit there and you do what used to take you like 2 hours worth of research now gets done in about 5 minutes if you know what you're looking for and how to look for it. We're going to talk about that because we have to have a real discussion on what kind of prosecutor do we want in Hinds County, Mississippi. We know that Jody Owens is going to court here coming up in next month. I think the date is July 13th. I might be mistaken on the date, but I know it's July. I'm not sure if anybody turned state's evidence, tried to break out of the kind of plea deal. We've got so many things that we can focus right here in Mississippi. I really don't want to get too involved in out-of-state stuff other than to use it as an example on how to do something. Although I am contemplating to do something about Leader Thune and his lack of inability. How great would it be to have somebody like Scott Pressler on the radio here at WYAB? Get us all motivated to go out there and do some work. Get some real local conservatives elected to do good stuff. Andy, you're not a good Republican. I paid for people to go to that Republican gala the other night. I sure did. We'll be back in about 7.5 minutes here on the Andrew Gosser Show. Until then, go take a break, support our sponsors. We'll be right back. And we are back for hour number 2 of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB, where we're streaming on Rumble, where we're streaming on X, where we're streaming on YouTube, and we're even streaming on Facebook. And also the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is 103.9 WYAB, like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Subscribe to my X account at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Yep, because that's where I post a lot of the stories that I use on the show, a lot of my research. The phone number, if you want to be part of the show today, 601-879-0002. Text line is open at 601-879-5060. Hold on a second here. I've got this cough going on, and I've got a little bit of a cough drop in there, and I don't like the way it sounds. It's bothering me. Look, mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You all are the saints. I planted it. Apollos watered it, but it's God that gave the increase. And that's what I did the last hour. I just planted a little seed out there saying, hey, Republicans, let's talk about the Save America Act. You've got all sorts of big, heavy hitters talking about it. Why not us? Mississippi, we could lead the way in that. We really could. So yesterday, if you listened to the show, you heard a caller challenge me, basically saying that my news sites for the voting dog in California were obscure. And, he made it very apparent that he knew more about Orange County than me, which is fine. Yeah, I don't have to know everything about Orange County to know that the Orange County DA's office prosecuted this woman for registering her dog to vote and actually tallying a vote in the election. But then we got to talk about George Soros and the DAs. Why wasn't it prosecuted? Well, when you got George Soros buying up all the DAs, you got issues. And as we know right now, you know who's got issues, fam? Jody Owens has got issues, fam. Been there, never criminal, but the pressure is huge. I asked the question, did Hinds County DA Jody Owens ever receive George Soros funding? And this is coming from InfluenceWatch.com. Yes, Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens received indirect campaign support. In July 2019, George Soros donated $500,000 to Mississippi Justice and Public Safety PAC. The group specifically created to back Owens. And that's coming from Influence Watch. So you can go there and check that out. Owens was the only candidate of that PAC to receive funding in that cycle and spent over $200,000 of campaign money. And after he won, he refunded the rest of it, about $294,000 back to Soros. Where's that coming from? Magnolia Tribune, ladies and gentlemen. George Soros is bought and paid for by somebody who doesn't even live in the United States, who's not even a U.S. citizen. This is documented in the Mississippi Secretary of State's Campaign Finance Office, another obscure source. Also quoted by the freebeacon.com. Owens has been described as a Soros-backed prosecutor and lists progressive DAs alongside others who received similar support. Note that the funding only went through the PAC rather than directly from Soros to Owens personally. And that's how they get away with it. We'll form a PAC to defeat Jody Owens' PAC. And you'll get a bunch of rich people to throw in a bunch of money there. And America is so stupid and so plugged into their devices that they can't even go do any historical research, scientific research. That's one of the lines I love. Do your research. I did my research. I got it all sourced out. So I asked Grok, Jody, or what are Hinds County DA Jody Owens' most notable accomplishments? And this is coming from Mississippi Today. Mississippi Today is saying this about Jody Owens. Jody Owens has served as Hinds County District Attorney covering Jackson, Mississippi since taking office around 2020 after winning the election as a reformer in 2019 and receiving over $200 $100,000 from George Soros. He previously spent about a decade as Mississippi State Director of Southern Poverty Law Center, who's in court, by the way, for funding the Ku Klux Klan, the Grand Cyclops and the Exalted Cyclops and the Grand Wizard. Can't forget that little nugget. When you get your ideology so wrapped around that it's all you see is your ideology, and that's one thing you can't say about me, is I'll call out the other side, my own side too. I just did for the better part of 2 segments in the show. So you can't say that I don't. Jody Owens' office emphasizes the smart justice model, balancing aggressive prosecution of violent crime with rehabilitation, pretrial diversion, drug court expungements, and reentry programs for nonviolent offenders. To be fair, so does Rankin County and the sheriff over there. They've got a good program. 2025 is the best year yet. I bet it was. The office resolved 1,197 felony cases. How they were resolved, I don't know. Up 5.5%. So we're fine. There's more crime is going up in Jackson County. And 8.2% in counts from went up 5.5% from 2025 and 8.2 from 2024. They handled 70 jury trials, double to the year prior. So they're bringing some people to court. Sean Yerkeron might have some more to say about this. 95% guilty conviction rate. Can I say something about conviction rates? And this is a hot take. Andy, you're just out to get Jody. All you can do as a prosecutor is run on your morals and do what you think is morally right. It's called prosecutorial discretion. And if he brings a charge up on somebody, a murder charge, and he's got all the evidence to write, and it goes in there and it just does a New York jury where they're going to find the person innocent no matter what, I don't hold that against the district attorney. I really don't. Some people like, oh, I'm 99%, I'm 97%, I'm 95%. Some people, do you go after the criminals? Yes or no? Pre-DA career, led SPLC litigation in Mississippi on systematic issues like juvenile justice, education equality, neutral health services, and prison reform. And no, Texter, this is a point. This is a fair point. As far as anybody can tell, Mr. Owens was not directly involved in the Ku Klux Klan issues with the SPLC. There's no evidence of that. So if there's anybody out there saying that, they're wrong, and Andrew Gosser renounces that person publicly. Important note of context. While Owens' highlights in 2025 were man, that's horrible writing. While Owens highlights these prosecutorial and reform achievements, he has faced significant challenges. In 2024, along with others, he was federally indicted on bribery, conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and related charges stemming from an FBI sting involving fake real estate development projects. He pleaded not guilty. There you go, George Soros. And here's the thing. If it was Republican, I'd say he should be resigning right now too. But Democrats don't do that. They protect their own. Andrew, he's not been convicted yet. You're right. But he's under indictment, and he's supposed to be the top law enforcement officer, the guy who's making all the decisions on who's going to get prosecuted and who's not. But it's okay. George Soros got him elected. And we believe in smart justice because we can't say social justice anymore because it turns off too many people out there. People who have never done anything remotely racist now get called racist. And it's honestly, it's not a good thing that people don't care about it anymore. Gen X was mortified of it. We had it going on good in the 2000s, 90s. We didn't have nearly the problems. Yep. So Jody Owens, in conclusion, dear listener, I know these were some obscure sites. And again, who is this from? Mississippi Today, WLBT.com. Oh, man, I'm not sure who. Hinsdale.com. That's a conservative think tank where it dug up some of that. The SPLC was Mississippi Today, and muckrack.com are all my sources for that. WAPT as well. I mean, I went all over. Cause see, that's the whole thing with left. They'll try to find one little speck of information that's not quite right, and they'll just pounce on that and they'll rip it open. It's from Rules of Radicals and Saul Alinsky. You should absolutely do it. It's called Freezing the Air. I think it's chapter 4, chapter 5. Yes, I've read the book. I understand it. I wish more Republicans read that. Rules for Radicals, and also How the Democrats Won Colorado and Why All Republicans Should Care. Mandatory reading. We believe in reading books here on the Andrew Gosser Show. It improves your mind. It increases your ability to deductively reason, critically think. Skills that our education system should be providing, but you look at what's coming out. I know we got the Mississippi Miracle and everybody's tooting that, but you look at, just go ask employers what they think about the new Gen Zers coming online. They're having a heck of a time trying to figure it out. They don't understand. Most of them can't spell correctly. They need a spell checker on everything. You know, I can remember when spell check came out on Bank Street Writer. Our school had one computer, a Commodore 64, and it was a Bank Street Writer. And we could write our reports on that, and you could spell check it. But Mrs. Curry, no, would she allow me to spell check it? Nope, you're going to spell check it through the dictionary. People don't realize when you're looking up a word like advocate, and you go start looking through A, then you got to do your ABC. So you go to the AD and then the ADV. There's all sorts of words that begin with ADV, advanced, advocate. And you start reading that, it's putting imprints into your mind. You're programming your mind. Whereas now that Gen X can use Grok or ChatGPT or DeepSeek, you know, anybody who says that they don't use AI, I say, okay, but AI is being used by you. It's tracking everything. If you're on the net, it's tracking you, number one. And number two is that the information that it doesn't give is always right. That's why you have to go ahead and double check sources. Like whenever they give you a source as Wikipedia, run, do not walk, and get away from that. Or go find another source, because Wikipedia is trash. It's left-leaning. Everybody knows it. And yet, all major AI companies, including Grok, use Wikipedia as a learning tool. It's not good, ladies and gentlemen. It's not good. But I just wanted to get that out there about Jody Owens as we get ready to go to trial. And we think about the midterm elections coming up, who to support, who to not support. And, you know, I didn't even get through all the other source stuff. That let's make this a 25-minute segment here. There is no single definitive public number of how financially involved George Soros is in, but it's somewhere between $30 and $50 million just in DA races in 2018. Where's that coming from? Glass Ceiling and policedefense.org, Fox News, Washington Post. It's funny. George Soros has been directly involved in funding efforts in at least 3 different district attorney races in Mississippi via the PAC. 2015, he provided nearly all funding, $900,000. The PAC supported Scott Cullum, successful challenger for the 16th Judicial District, DA. Robert Schuler Smith, re-election in Hinds County. And Jody Owens. So it's not like I'm making this stuff up. And again, that's coming from Influence Watch and the Clarion Ledger, more obscure sources. 2019 election, sourced by Magnolia Tribune. This pattern aligns with sources' national strategy of targeting local prosecutorial races for criminal justice reform. But Mississippi only saw limited activity compared to states like California, imagine that, Pennsylvania, or Texas. Claims of broader buying of Mississippi elections are often exaggerated in political rhetoric. Well, they tried. Some cases they win, some cases they lose. Data comes from campaign finance records, including Politico, Clarion Ledger, and places like the Influence Watch and Mississippi Secretary of State's office. So there you go. There's still more out there. There's still so much more out there. But Soros is getting in line with this race for Cindy Hyde Smith, with Mr. Coleman getting involved as a donor. And when we get back, we'll talk about the big donors. And we're also going to talk about the USS Liberty, which was attacked by the French. And you know what? We don't talk about it because it was the French. No one talks about the USS Liberty, but we're going to do it on the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Let's get to it here on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Look, there are all sorts of rumors and conspiracies, theories about the USS Liberty being attacked by the French back in 1967. And I've got this here, and my source for this is a congressional speech made on the floor of the House by outgoing Representative Thomas Massey. And you using Massey as a source? Yes, yes, I am. Because this makes my blood boil. Because I still have Republican deniers out there, and quite frankly, some of you Democrats too, who deny this incident ever happened. And I'm just going to be truthful with you. Some of you are so damn lazy, you won't even go out and do your own research. So I'm going to do it for you. And sorry for cursing there, but whenever it comes to military guy, and I'm a sailor before I was an airman. And the things that happened that you're about to hear about over the next 4 minutes and 14 seconds, provided I don't provide some commentary, is going to fire you up. And then I got more information after that.
On the next day, on June 8th, they started the day. The visibility was unlimited. The American flag was flying proudly on the USS Liberty. More planes came from.
And what I want to say there is when you're at sea and visibility is clearing a million and the national ensign is flying, there's no reason for a mistaken identity. None.
Israel to surveil the boat, the ship. And they thought they were in good shape. But what happened next surprised them all. French Mirage jets showed up.
See, I told you it was the French.
And for 25 minutes, strafed and attacked the USS Liberty. They shot rockets. They shot 30-millimeter cannons into the hull and into the ship. They even dropped napalm on the bridge of the ship.
That's absolutely crazy to me. You know, I was never stationed on a small boy, but I did cruise on a couple. Shout out to USS Normandy. And I never got on the Scott, but I had friends who were on the Scott. And shout out to everybody who served on a small boy.
This was an effort to kill everybody on board. There was no intention of taking prisoners. After the 25 grueling minutes of attack on this virtually unarmed ship, and they thought things were over and they could recover, the torpedo boats showed up, 3 torpedo boats. They launched 4 torpedoes. One of them hit the hull of the USS Liberty and killed 25 people instantly.
So, you know, everything is hell in war. And the fact that they fired 4 and only had 1 hit, not good, but skipper of the torpedo boat actually needs to go back for remedial training. But listen, again, this is all the French that are doing this. Why are they doing this? It's clearly marked as an American ship, and it was a electronic warfare ship. No one's denying that. But hey, what gives? What gives?
It blew a 40-foot by 40-foot hole in the side of this ship. They were intent on sinking it. But they were also intent on not having a single survivor. According to eyewitness accounts, the Israelis machine gunned the...
Wait, it was Israel flying the French Mirages? This was Israel that attacked an American ship? Wait, I thought Israel was our ally. I thought Israel was our friend.
They put down. They machine gunned the firefighters who were on the deck. They were bringing the wounded and the dead to the mess hall to triage them. They had one doctor who was trying to help them all, put a few stitches in. It was harrowing, and it's amazing. If not for that crew, that boat would have sunk that day. But it still was.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, as person I was air wing on the USS America, so I was not part of the actual damage control team, but I was on a couple hoses that were fighting fires, and not fun. Shout out to all the DC men who were serving. Shipmates, you're awesome.
It wasn't over. Helicopters showed up. Combat.
And this is what really irritates me.
Helicopters. And the USS Liberty, even though their signals were being jammed by the Israelis, got a signal out. And there were ships that tried to respond. The USS Saratoga, the USS America.
Served on both of those ships. Did a little bit of time on Sorry Sarah. A lot of time on the good ship America. America's aircraft carrier, CV-66 Carrier Air Wing 1 team. And this is where the little bit of my libertarian streak comes out of me, because I would find it really hard to turn my back on my shipmates like what you're about to hear.
Sent planes, both of them sent planes to help the USS Liberty. And something happened that's never happened before. A ship under attack, the planes were recalled. This has never happened before.
Dude, this is like Chapman all over again in Afghanistan. Turning our backs on our shipmates. I want to know who recalled those planes. We've got a known USS or USS Liberty, which is an American flag ship, a Navy ship. And I'm just saying, they didn't have F-14s. I believe they were A-4s and F-4s. But I would find it really hard to take that order to return around that the ship is fine. I'm going to go see something myself.
And they sat there for
That's why I'm a career captain, by the way.
17 hours, 34 dead, 174 wounded out of 294 crew members. That's over 70% casualty rate, unheard of.
I'm just telling you now, it's a miracle that ship made it out, and anybody who made it through that lived, because Israel was messing that ship up. And it's a black eye on Israel. And quite frankly, as big of a black eye as it is on Israel, I think it's more of a black eye on America in the naval leadership. You know, we have men who go down with the ship thinking that their superiors are going to come get them. We leave no one behind. It doesn't matter whether you're Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, interdimensional task force on aliens, whatever. We're America. We don't leave our dudes behind. Just look at Dude 44. We make movies out of stuff like that. Let's finish this up.
The Israelis were intent on leaving no survivor. And what about our own military? Why did they not send anybody for 17 hours to help these men? So what really happened? You know, the official reports say that it was a case of mistaken identity.
How the hell is it a case of mistaken identity when you have a giant American flag flying off the mast of the ship? And say what you want about Israel, but they're not stupid. They're not dumb. They sit there and look at the whole number and match it all up.
But if you listen to Dean Rusk, former Secretary of State, Richard Helms, CIA Director, Bobby Ray Inman, head of the NSA, Captain Ward Boston, who was the chief counsel of the Court of Inquiry. If you listen to Admiral Moore, who served in Pearl Harbor, Midway, commanded both the Atlantic and Pacific Fleet, and was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. None of these distinguished men think this was an accident. They think it was intentional murder by the country of Israel.
And no one has the balls to say that in Congress, except for Congressman Massey, which is why he will be missed. And his hill to die on was the Save America Act and caused Trump problems, and that's what caused him to lose, in my opinion. I like Thomas Massey, but when it's time to get stuff done, it's time to get stuff done. But I appreciate this, and this just came in from Rick. Pentagon raises Israeli spy threat as NDAA seeks deeper defense ties. This is coming from military.com. Again, another credited news source, not one of these obscure places. The Pentagon's Defense Intelligence Agency recently elevated Israel's counterintelligence threat designation to critical. And, you know, it was the running joke that, you know, the Chinese were always spying on us, the Russians were always spying on us, but the Israelis were the ones that we had to worry about. I'll just leave it at that. And I'll post this on my X. I'm not going to read it all. I've gone a little bit long. But people who say that, oh, I'm pro-Israel, oh, I'm anti-Israel, I'm just pro-truth. And I'm not afraid to say the truth. You had an admiral who survived Pearl Harbor saying there is no good reason for why this happened. Who turned the planes around? And we'll never know because all those dudes are dead. There might be papers somewhere in some file cabinet in some warehouse somewhere. We'll never get the truth from Israel. I've been to Israel 3 times, love the country. You know, I'm God-fearing Christian, and I understand Genesis 12, 1 through 3, the Abrahamic blessing. But Lord, forgive me, but I don't understand when your chosen people do stuff like this, how it is allowed to go on. But I believe. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. Look, I got a lot of texts talking about the USS Liberty during the break. And I'm not like trying to beat up on anybody, but do you sit down and do you talk to your kids and your grandkids about this stuff? You know, the Mississippi Congressional Black Caucus put out a plea after all this violence, talking about the grandparents getting involved. They didn't mention the mothers or the fathers, the ones who actually did the business and created the baby, the child. But do we sit down and talk about U.S. history, our history, about the things that went good and the things that went bad. And it's not that we dwell on the history, but we sure as heck don't forget it. Andrew, you're talking about slavery too? Yes, I am. In fact, we talked about it for a long time last night. And a bunch of us believe that there's a spirit of slavery, a demon of slavery that just hovers over Mississippi and oppresses us all. I got this video from the lady. I can't play it because she curses too much, but she talks about all the rape and incest that happens in the Delta. She talks about how tough it is there, and I believe it. How do we get out of it is a different question. But getting back to the USS Liberty, I get sucked down that hole every once in a while. Do you sit there and talk about the USS Liberty? There's another one that Operation Northwood. I haven't ever looked that one up. And everybody's like, "Oh, you don't know about Operation Northwood?" Look, we are in an information age where you could sit plugged into your computer for 22 hours a day, only sleep for 2 hours a day, maybe take a shower every other day, and you would still not know everything you need to know. It's why it takes all of us. It's why it takes a community. It's good to see Eric in the chat. It's been a hot minute. Go and follow up. Prayers to you, brother Eric. Yep. And it's sickening to me. You know, I am a conservative. I am a Christian, and I do vote that way. But if we can't have honest discussions about what's going on in our country and that just gets back to the NDAA that's coming up. I disagree with Brother Rick on how much it's going to do, but that still doesn't make it wrong for him not to be concerned about it, or other libertarians. And quite frankly, there's a lot of Democrats who love hating on Israel, who love that AIPAC money. They'll take that AIPAC money all day long. I'm see if I can pull up that AIPAC, trackapac.com. Members of Congress. Man, Tommy Tuberville, 29,000. Katie Britt, 106,000. Barry Moore, 36,000. Shamari Figures, 61,000. Mike Rogers. Whoa. 1.5 million from AIPAC. He must have been there a while. Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, who needs to go. You can see where they're buying their influence. Mark Kelly, almost $500,000. Just for the record, there are Republicans and Democrats on this. Eli Crane, retired Navy SEAL, $500. I'm not sure I worry about that. There is somebody running as a Democrat in Arizona who is track AIPAC approved, no money. Man, ladies and gentlemen, just watching the money. Some of these senators are making buku bucks. Tom Cotton, 1.1 million. All the Democrats in California are raking it in. $500,000. Adam Shifty Shift. Adam Shifty flipping Shift. How much money, Brother Bruce? These glasses work great. Adam Shifty Shift. How much money do you think Adam Shifty Shift, Democrat, accused of all sorts of crimes, how much money do you think he took? Man, $5,608,830. You don't think he's bought and paid for by Israel? This is Track AIPAC. And look, they are left-leaning. And then it says next election for Adam Shifty Shifter is 2030. Well, if we had a real DOJ and a real FBI, he'd be in jail. But it won't happen. Man, they've got like all the PACs. I'm just scrolling through looking for the millionaires. The millionaires. The billionaires. a lot of congressmen are just hovering right below that 1 million mark. Man almighty. And, some of these people don't have to take the AI pack. See, people like Andy, you need to run for office. Number one, I don't have the same fire that I used to have. And number two, if I ever ran for something like that, I'd be politically defeated. I'd have everybody coming up against me, which is what allows me to do what I do because I can talk about it and be honest with you. And so many people will sit there and say, I don't like Andy on everything, but he says both ways. Let's scroll down to Mississippi. I'm sitting here scrolling, trying to find the millionaires: Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida. Man, there's some big ones in Florida too. Ooh, doggy. Georgia, Illinois, Hawaii, Idaho, Dick Durbin, over $500,000. Tammy Duckworth, over $500,000. To be fair, there's a couple congressmen who are Democrats who are AI PAC or Track AI PAC approved. They're not taking any of the money. Sean Casten, what a loser. $300,000. Yep. Indiana. I want to get to Mississippi. Sorry, I'm not going to take a phone call. Too close to the break to take a phone call. Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan. If you're not going to this place, you should. Mississippi. Man, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. I can already hear the party freaking out. Senator Roger Wicker, $533,926. Cindy Hyde-Smith, $273,346. Trent Kelly, $36,442. Uh-oh. Republicans, anti-Israeli types, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. I'm going to skip Benny for right now. Michael Guest, $60,000. Mike Easel, $51,000. Benny Thompson, $9,500. We encourage this representative to continue improving their legislative record on Israel-Palestine issues. Money is everywhere, man. It's bad. We can get all this money from PACs that have their money come from outside the United States, allegedly, of course. But we can't get the Save America Act through the frickin' Senate. Look, the show writes itself. I don't sit there and take the money. I don't write the checks. If the information's not correct, I'm more than happy. You can call me because they all got my number. You can text me. You can DM me on X. My DMs are open. And if that information is correct, I will be the first one to correct it. And I won't correct it like in the last 5 seconds or on page 24 like the New York Slimes. I'll give you top of the hour billing, either hour 1 or hour 2. You pick. You decide. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go on the Andrew Gosser Show. Final segment, 2 hours in the can. Um, the yesterday's show and today's show have maybe been the best 2-day run since I've been here at WYAB. Between the calls, the meaningful calls, and the meaningful text inputs that you guys have helped me out with. The show is all about you, the listeners. And what I would say is if you're a business owner and you like what I'm doing, reach out to me on the text line 601-879-5060 and see if we can't work together to bring some business to you, help grow the show. I sure would appreciate it. That's the only way this works because we say the stuff that isn't necessarily the most popular, but we know our listeners are the most dedicated and loyal listeners out there in all of Mississippi. Now, I'm not saying that just because I work here. It's because I know, because people come up to me and say, I listen to your show, supports the sponsors. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful to have iGear Optical coming back next month. Brother Bruce in Pearl. It's coming. So as fired up as this show made you all today, what are you going to do with it? Are you just going to sit there and say, yeah, I agree with it? Wait for Miss Lindsay Beckham to come on and listen to what she has to say? Or is this going to fuel you to go ahead and take some action? I'm not talking violent action. I'm talking political action. Reach out to Congressman Guest about AIPAC. Reach out to Congressman Benny Thompson about the Save America Act. Reach out to Senator Roger Wicker and Cindy Hyde-Smith about the Save America Act. And people are asking the website. It's just Track AI PAC. And if you go to my X account at Andrew Gosser, ANDREWGASSER, I linked it all there for you. Look, we are all busy, right? And I even asked Rick to send me that military.com link in a text because fingers don't work the hottest anymore. But I'll post that there too. But Israel is on a critical threat, is now considered a critical threat to the United States of America. It just is what it is. Yet we're selling them another squadron of 24 F-35s, another squadron of F-15Is, the good ones. Those are the EXs, man. And Israel will pull some stuff out and put some of their own stuff in, which is totally cool. But I think it also exposes what's really going on here in the military-industrial complex. And people are like, Andy, you release all this stuff. How do you not get worked up over it? I'm telling you what, when you have the peace of Christ in you, when you truly believe in a biblical worldview, and you don't get spooked by all these demons and disclosure stuff coming out, you just walk different, man. It just hits different. People come up and tell me all the time, what is it with you? Normally I say it's the shuffle, the Parkinson's. But that's all right. I got joy of the Lord. Look, we got Lindsay Beckham coming on in the next hour. I'm not sure what she's going to be talking about. But then today at 4 o'clock, you got Brother Kim. Kim Wade is going to be on the show. Next week, I will be with my wife and kids, all of them, in Milwaukee, as the wife has some work trip going on a work trip, and we turned it into we're just going to fly along. No, work's not paying for it. We're paying for it all ourselves to get up there, but it is cool to be able to have the family congregate in Wisconsin like that. So Monday will be Blake Bartlam, Tuesday will be Chris Hinkle, and Wednesday will be Lindsay Beckham. And that's what we're going to do. Until then, take care, everybody. Be blessed. Yes, and amen. Amen.